The Golden Empire of California is different to any other realm in the game. Its government type is Eurasian bureaucracy. It's fairly similar to administrative, except for one twist: the governorate. The emperor is the leader of the country, of course, but he is too important to be bothered with such mundane matters as politics. Temporal matters are left to the governator. It functions through the power-sharing mechanic. Essentially, the governator is the emperor's co-monarch, except much more powerful. But I'll talk more about that when it becomes relevant. For now, I am Betsy Rose, a humble duke-level ruler in this empire. And a 12-year-old girl that randomly generated with 5 personality traits for some reason. My goal is to become emperor eventually, but as I am the only member of my dynasty, I have more pressing concerns. I don't have a lot of troops, nor am I a member of a powerful family, so my options are limited. Not to mention that I'm a child with one of my vassals as my regent. And the situation in the wider empire isn't great either. Up north, separatist rebels are fighting for independence, under a guy that claims to be the king of Atlantis or something. And to the south, pirates of the California Peninsula are conducting a great raid to try and pillage the empire. My only solace is that neither of these two consider me to be a primary target. Who does consider me to be a target, however, is the chieftain of Nevada, who marched his nearly 2,000 raiders into my capital and set to pillaging. I had significantly fewer troops than him, so I thought I'd be clever. I declared a war on him, and they figured that would allow me to raise my faith's holy order and bring my numbers up. Unfortunately, for some reason I couldn't click on the holy order to hire them, leaving me stuck in a war with a numerically superior foe. But he was not qualitatively superior. As he was a tribal ruler, he mostly just had levies and some light infantry, while I, as part of an administrative realm, had a good chunk of my army be men-at-arms. Specifically, the swatters, unique crossbowmen I had access to despite not having the advanced bow-making tech. Thanks to them, and the fact I was defending on a mountain, I was able to defeat the Nevadans and take a county of them. During this war, my regent had come to me complaining that someone had tried to kidnap him, and suggested I should take measures to protect him. I didn't think this was a problem, as I was more worried that someone would try and kidnap me, specifically my regent, who would then have even more power over me. My spymaster agreed that the old man was just being paranoid. As my regent, she would make sure no harm came to me or anyone at my court. Wait, when did that happen? Never mind. The Nevada war went well, and we have some room to breathe. Let's take a look at our faith, as there's some fun lore behind it. It was apparently created by the first emperor of California as a way to unify the previously war-torn land. According to its teachings, only his family can rule over California, and the emperor is the head of faith. I was starting to get a little worried as to how I was going to depose what was effectively a pharaoh, but I still wasn't at a point where I needed to actively start working on it, so I put it out of my mind. Other interesting things about our faith, Sahasrara, is that we are pluralist and we have the multi-religious harmony special doctrine, meaning we are extremely tolerant of other faiths, which is important as California is quite diverse when it comes to religions. And the final important thing about our faith is the wisdom of the guru's doctrine. It allows us to become a follower of a particular guru to get a bonus. Oh cool, I thought. I could follow Guru Schwarzenegger for extra martial, or Guru Machiavelli for extra intrigue, or holy crap, Guru Kael for plus 25 general opinion? Yes, please. I don't know if this is a mistake or what, but I took the time to look through all of the options and I will be making use of this one. Now this is my second game in a row where I got a randomly generated 20 learning court cleric. Unfortunately, this time he won't be as useful, because in an administrative realm we can't just go declaring wars on our fellow governors. I did set him to fabricate a claim on my neighbor, just in case, and he gave me a duchy claim on the first go. To top it off, the neighbor in question was fully occupied by the crazy Atlantis separatists, making her totally vulnerable. But I just couldn't find a way to attack her, so in the end I had to let it go. That was when I came of age. I became a good stewardship character, still with my 5 personality traits. As an adult, I could start making moves within the empire. As I'm not a powerful family, I couldn't do the subsumed duchy scheme, but I could do a boundary dispute to eventually get a county. I was also able to get rid of my scheming spymaster regent easily. I ordered her arrest, but she escaped. Funnily enough, she escaped to my court, so I just ordered her arrest again. This time she actually escaped. My duchy, or the prefecture of Sierra Nevada, was rich, and by going down the stewardship lifestyle, I would compound that advantage and gain quite the income, which I used to hire more men-at-arms, as well as to bribe people to join my schemes. My direct liege, the king, or in this case lieutenant of the valley, changed my province administration to focus on public safety. This meant I would pay less tax, but I would need to give him more levy. His letter informing me of that fact was apologetic, but as it would mean I get even more money, it was fine by me. For the next few years I was slowly improving my position. My border dispute scheme succeeded. I was swaying the emperor, as having him like me is never a bad thing. And speaking of the emperor, he managed to put down the separatists and drive off the pirates, ensuring relative stability for now. I got a random event to become a witch. As witchcraft is accepted in our faith, I agreed. It's basically a free point of learning and intrigue at the cost of a point in diplomacy. And since my diplomacy couldn't get any worse anyway, there were no downsides. It's then I was informed that someone is scheming against me. We do not yet know who they are or what they want, but I must be careful. I redoubled the guard to prevent any murder plot. But it was no use. A man approaches me, reaches into his cloak and pulls out some flowers. It turns out it was just a seduction scheme. Now, as a one-woman dynasty, which isn't even considered to be a powerful family, I wasn't able to find a good man willing to marry me. Still, I needed heirs. The Sahasrara faith allows concubines. I already had one concubine, and this guy seemed like a good candidate to be the second. So I let him seduce me. And as I was navigating the interface windows to make him an official concubine, I got the terrible news. My horrible secret was exposed. Everyone knows I had lain with a man out of wedlock, and concubinage luck, I guess. I lost a level of devotion, and shall forever be known as a fornicator. Well, excuse me, game, for not going through the proper paperwork in time. It's not like I was even married to anyone, so what if I sample the product before I buy it? Ah well, at least fornicator is just -5 general opinion for us. In any case, my power was slowly but surely rising. I was richer and had more troops than any time before. I spent some time doing governor contracts in exchange for influence and random bonuses. I wasn't having much luck swaying the emperor, so I tried converting him to witchcraft. That didn't go so well either. But I had taken the meritocracy perk and I was ready to scheme against my direct liege to get a claim on his kingdom. A while later, I had a claim on the kingdom of the valley. Except it didn't do me any good. I, of course, couldn't declare war on my direct liege for the title because of the administrative government type. I couldn't form a claimant faction against him because he wasn't an independent ruler. And I couldn't even vote for myself to succeed him because he was the current governor of California. I was fairly demoralized at this point, so to cheer myself up, I invaded Nevada. By the time I was done, my liege stopped being the governor, allowing me to nominate a candidate for succession of the valley. I could vote for myself, but I had no hope of winning. However, my daughter and player heir is a good candidate, so I put all my support behind her. And soon enough, she was the heir to the kingdom of the valley. My liege was young, so I had to speed up the succession process. Befriending his spymaster proved to be a great idea, as she was very useful in this. Now my player heir is my liege, and I became her regent to help her secure her power. Now when Betsy dies, I will take over as my player heir, and I'll have moved up one level in the hierarchy. Before that, I befriended the new eternal guru Empress Sharon of California. I schemed to get my other daughter to be the heir to the neighboring kingdom of SoCal, and for all time's sake I invaded Nevada. After that, Prefect Betsy was succeeded by Lieutenant Betsy, and I was in control of a kingdom, directly under the Empress. My new character was much more well-rounded when it comes to skills, and I'm generally in a far better position than I was before. The Rose Dynasty has skipped the step of being a powerful family and went straight to being the dominant family, probably since we control by far the most territory in the Empire thanks to the Nevada conquests. As I take over as my new character, I find myself at war. Me and some other rebels declared war on the Governator to make one of our own the Governator. I didn't stand to gain directly from this war, but still, we won soon after. Now that I was at peace, I reorganized my realm a bit. I demanded all my non-Sahasrara vassals convert, and as my sister who inherited Sierra Nevada controlled all of Nevada through it, I stripped her of her titles so that I would have direct control over all that land. This caused some tyranny, but as my character had technically ruled over the kingdom for a while, her reign was stable enough to endure it. I made it up to my sister by compelling the lieutenant of Sokal to resign. As she was the heir, thanks to my mother's machinations, she became the new lieutenant. It's at this point I reflected on how in just one generation we went from being an insignificant dynasty of one to being the dominant family ruling over 3 of the largest kingdoms in the empire. But we still had a way to go. The Governator is still technically above us, and beyond her stands the Empress. I took the next step on my path to power and demanded the governorship. They needed some convincing. Thanks to my military overmight, I won in the end. As the temporal ruler of the empire, I had significant power over my fellow vassals. I could steal from them, imprison them, and revoke their lands. But what I wanted was the Imperial throne, and I didn't know how to get it. I tried taking over through the power-sharing mechanic, but I didn't have the option to invite other powerful vassals into my coup plot. I couldn't start any factions as the game just wouldn't let me, and I couldn't vote for myself to be the next Empress because I was the Governator. Not knowing what else to do, I invaded Utah. The Mormons evaded my army and sieged down a few counties behind me. Instead of turning around, I pressed forward and captured a line of castles up to their capital. After resupplying my army in Utah lands, I sieged down their capital and captured their heir, winning me the war. It's at this point I realized that I could support my sister to be the next Empress. It's not a perfect solution, but at least it would get my dynasty onto the throne. After building a vineyard and a wine cellar in my estate, I was able to get a bunch of influence by hosting feasts. I used this influence to make my sister the heir to the Golden Empire of California. I wanted to assassinate the Empress, but her defenses were airtight and I gave up. That was when a massive rebellion happened. Almost the entire empire except my sister revolted against my governorship. It didn't matter. I was strong enough to put them down without much effort. After revoking their titles, I reigned supreme over California in all but name. A few years later, my sister conquered the Mojave. Not to be outdone, I decided to finish the conquest of Nevada. While I was doing that, some Utah counts demanded I give them independence. I could have easily put down their little rebellion, but I was busy with the Nevadans. I didn't care about a couple of counties on the fringes of my the Guru's empire, and besides, any negative consequences would fall on the Guru Empress. So I gave them their independence. Only after I took all of Nevada did they realize I wasn't the governor anymore. My guess is that I was stripped of that title when I gave in to the independence demand. At first I was afraid I had just suffered a setback, but now that I'm no longer governor, I am a candidate to be the next Empress of California. I had a huge amount of influence by this point, and I was able to replace my sister as heir. Now it was just a matter of getting rid of the old Empress. She was able to thwart my assassination attempt last time, but since then I completed the schemer tree in case I wanted to try again. This scheme lasted for years, but the plot was stopped. I wasn't implicated in the assassination scheme, but I wouldn't be able to try again. That left just one option. I would have to outlast her. She was only a couple of years older than me, but my character's education was in learning. The fitness expert tree was the first I completed. That should give me the edge. I watched the years tick by until there was a plague. The Empress got influenza at 65 years old, and her physician botched the treatment. I was giddy. Any day now, I thought. Then she recovered. But that's okay, at 70 she caught influenza again. Then she recovered again. But then at 72 she drank herself to death. Betsy Rose became the eternal living guru of the Golden Empire of California. Finally, I was at the top. But the previous emperors were decadent. The governor still had much of the actual power. I couldn't even revoke or grant titles. To get rid of him and truly be the ruler of California, I need to erode his power. But it will take time. In the meantime, I used some of my considerable wealth to build the Imperial Californian army. I enacted absolute crown authority, thereby ensuring stable rule for the future. And in the short term, I kept my vassals happy by bribing them. By now, the Rose dynasty had completely supplanted the previous Imperial dynasty. Even if Betsy were to die now, the throne would remain in the family. Just 7 years after taking the throne, Guru Betsy was able to dismantle the governorship and restore imperial dignity. The Rose dynasty is now in full control of the Golden Empire of California, and we are the undisputed hegemon of the American West Coast. This is where the story ends. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and I appreciate it if you would rate this video and subscribe if you wanna see more.